Hi, this is Joe Bruzek from the Cars.com editorial team, and today we are reviewing the 2025 Lincoln Aviator. Now, the Aviator's been refreshed for 2025, and this is the three-row SUV based on the Ford Explorer. Now, we are specifically driving the Black Label. And the Black Label, this one that we're testing, is $97,000. So let's go through what is the Black Label, what you get, and why this one is $97,000, because honestly, I spent a lot of time asking myself that while driving this car for review. The Black Label is the top trim level, and as the top trim level, it comes with all the packages that are available on lesser trim levels. So the Black Label comes with the luxury, illumination, tow, and dynamic handling package. And so it starts at $88,000, which is already in the stratosphere. This means the Black Label comes with the wild 30-way adjustable front seats, the 28-speaker sound system. It has standard all-wheel drive. There are 22-inch wheels. It also has 4 and 7-pin connectors for a trailer with a maximum 5,000 pounds towing capacity. There's also an air suspension with automatic lowering entry height, as well as heated and ventilated rear seats. The next layer to the Black Label comes on the inside, where you have a couple of choices of interior themes. Now, these themes will change aspects like colorization, some trim pieces, and accents. The themes are inspired by the heyday of travel and include flight, invitation, and moonbeam. The one that we're driving is the invitation theme, and that uses darker, richer colored wood and black leather trim seats with brandy colored stitching. Now, there's also some open pore wood that Lincoln says showcases an industry-first dual laser etching blend of geometric and organic motifs. Now, I just see a little bunch of squares all over the wood, but to each their own. Now, when it comes to the optional equipment that brings our as-tested price to $97,000, ours has the Black Label Special Edition package, and that's $7,250, and it includes unique 22-inch wheels, a bunch of black painted exterior trim, as well as this black painted roof. Now, our car also has $750 paint job, plus the nearly $500 full rear console. Now, that has some storage area, plus 2 USB charge ports and rear shade controls for the moonroof. There are other perks that come with the Aviator Black Label, but they're not actually on the car. It's not a feature you can use or touch. And that includes ownership benefits, including 4 years, 50,000 miles of free maintenance, home delivery. There are more reward points versus other trim levels, so you get points toward service or accessories. You also get free car washes, and then also an Avis Rental Car President's Club membership, which is kind of an odd perk, but it comes with the car. The thing that you have to know, though, is that these are only at participating Black Label dealerships. So you need to go to the Lincoln website, go on their finder, and make sure that the dealerships near you are part of that program. 300 miles around us in the Chicago area, all the Lincoln dealerships were part of that program, but definitely check that to make sure you can use these perks if they're important to you. So you put all that stuff on the inside and you have a very high quality, very luxurious interior. The wood, even with the square laser etched design, really nice, looks great. It looks and smells like a luxury car. Two very important parts of the luxury aspect. Now, new for 2025 are the screens in the car. You have a new instrument panel and you have a new touch screen. They're high quality, they're easy to use, but ergonomically, I have not taken a liking to them because honestly, I can't see half the screen. The steering wheel is in the way. And no matter how I adjusted the seat or the steering wheel, I couldn't get to a place that was both comfortable and safe for driving. You want good leverage on the steering wheel. You want a good point where you're grabbing it. And also, you don't want the steering wheel pointed at your face. You want the steering wheel in the airbag pointed more at your chest. And one of the ways I could get a good view of the screen is if I put the steering wheel way up here, but I didn't want to do that. So then there's the center touch screen. Now, there are climate controls that have been integrated into the touchscreen instead of physically out here. And that is just a no-win situation. It is not easy to use. You're now putting heated and ventilated seat controls in a menu. If you touch the heated seat button here, it doesn't turn on heated seats. It takes you to a menu to turn on the heated seats. It's just added complexity. The screen itself, though, very nice, easy to use. The placement of it is too far toward you, the driver. So you want to take a quick look at the screen. It takes you a little bit to refocus, and it doesn't even feel like the screen is pointing at me. It feels like it's pointing toward the backseat passengers. What is nice, though, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Now, why is that nice? Well, because it's using a Google built-in operating system that unlocks a bunch of Google and Alexa capability, which, you know, if you find the need to turn on your automated dog feeder from the road through voice commands, yeah, go ahead, you can do that. But for everyone else, we want Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and I'm so glad that it's included in this system, unlike automakers who are ditching those two very desirable features for Google built-in, which never a great way. Okay, let's talk about these seats. 30-way adjustable seats. More adjustability is not always better. I also couldn't find a comfortable seating position in these seats. Now you've got controls on the door panel, you've got controls in the touch screen, but it felt like my bottom was hitting the seat and my lower back was hitting the seat, but nothing else. Even with the thigh extenders all the way out, there's even adjustability in the backrest here to move it closer to you. I just could not find a comfortable seating position. Now this is something you're gonna have to sit in the car and figure out for yourself if this works for you. I'm about 6 feet tall and could not find, and I don't struggle with finding comfortable seats. Seat comfort is typically the last thing on my mind, but this car, there was just something about these seats that just didn't work for me. So the theme from the first row continues to the second row, both in a good and not so good way. You've got some really nice design accents. You've got more of this open pore wood on this center console, but also the seats are not very comfortable. They're narrow and they have really short thigh support. It really doesn't feel like a premium seat back here. There's also not a whole lot of legroom, and it's also not a very wide vehicle. So you're not getting this like big, expansive, roomy vibe that you would in other cars like Genesis GV80, for example. And then there's the third row. Now, the third row will fit adults if you can get them back there. When you have car seats in the second row, there's no way to get to the third row because of this optional center console. This is fixed. You can't easily remove this. So if you have car seats in the second row, you're not going to be able to get to the third row. And in my case, my wife got in through the cargo area to the third row. And then also when you're back there, the ride quality on this car is just a little rough. And so my third row passenger was not feeling great after a 40-minute drive to the zoo with the grandparents in the car. For those of you out there with kids around 4 to 6 years old, this center console here with these buttons for the moonroof shade, does not work. My two kids sat in these seats, in their car seats, fought over this stupid little button for the whole trip to the zoo, and there's no way to lock this button. So again, may only apply to a couple of you, but if you know, you know. There's only one engine choice for 2025, and that's a 400 horsepower twin turbocharged V6, and that comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission. The engine and transmission work really well together. There's good power, and you feel like there's something substantial underneath the hood, but it's not going to pin you to the back of your seat, and it's not especially engaging performance, but it's fitting for this vehicle. Now, what's a little less fitting is the suspension, because it does have this air suspension, and it will automatically raise and lower when you shut the car off for easy entry and exit, but it's not a particularly soft suspension. The impacts from the 22-inch wheels and tires are harsh, and you hear them. You almost hear them more than you feel them, because the suspension does absorb big bumps really well, but there's also this constant kind of wheel motion and jitteriness that you feel. And overall, it's not as refined and smooth riding as some competitors. So when we're looking at the Aviator, you also have to consider its competition, like the Genesis GV80. And the GV80 has also been updated recently with some really trick screens that work really well, and then just the stunning interior. And where it does have the edge on the Aviator is that interior experience, which I feel is just higher quality on the Genesis, and then also the ride quality. It drives much nicer than the Aviator as configured. Now, where the Aviator does have an advantage though is third row comes standard in every Aviator, and even if it's not a best fit for everybody, you can still use it in a pinch. On the GV80, the third row is limited only to the advanced trim level. We definitely spent a lot of time as a team discussing the $97,000 as tested price. One editor said they could buy 9 vintage Mopars for that much money. Another editor said they could buy 19,000 Chalupa Supremes. And that's a lot of Chalupas. For me though, I would want just one Genesis GV80 Advance with the optional third row, and then a Plymouth Fury and 2,000 Chalupa Supremes. A lot of my quibbles with the Aviator are just how I fit in it. So if there are parts of the Aviator that you like, you should definitely sit in it. Take it for a test drive. See if the seating comfort, the instrument panel is an issue for you. And if you do like it, I think it's worth noting that a lot of the features you can get on lesser trim levels. The Black Label isn't that unique. There aren't many must-have features or owner benefits here. And I would definitely save $10,000, maybe even $15,000 by those lesser trim levels, because you can still get the sound system, those 30-way seats. All of that can be had on lesser trim levels where you're not going to have to spend $97,000 to get the bulk of what the Aviator offers.